Hi, this is Lee, Jasper Drive Time. Now make sure you press like, hit subscribe and hit the bell for further notifications for a new and exciting show. And we're bringing you a new format this week. So we're doing a feature, we one-to-one interviews, we do Vox Pops, and at the end of the show I'll give you a roundup of some of the key issues facing our community. This week we're talking to Rashid Nix, a black history activist and a member of the Green Party. And we'll be interviewing people from Extinction Rebellion. So make sure you stick with the channel. My name's Lee Jasper. This is Market House, Cold Harbour Lane, Brixton. Welcome to Lee Jasper Drive Time.
Hi, my name's Lee Jasper. This is Brixton, London, and you're watching Lee Jasper Drive Time.
Hi, this is Lee Jasper, and welcome to Lee Jasper Drive Time. This week's interview, we're going to be focusing on Black History Month. And the job I do is a joy because I get to interview very many interesting people, and this week is no exception. We're interviewing the young, dynamic Mr. Rashid Nix, the Green Rasta from Brixton, who's been kicking up a storm, increasing the Green Party vote, but also has got a radical new approach to dealing with issues of mental health using Black history as the antidote. So it's going to be a great program. Stick around. Rashid Nix, long-time member of the Brixton and Lambeth community, well known as a community activist, entrepreneur, historian, archivist, journalist, member of the Green Party, one of the few black members of the Green Party. We'll come on to that later. Welcome to Lee Jasper Drive Time here at Market House, centre of Brixton. If you didn't know, Market House is one of the coolest venues in Lambeth for you to visit. But Rashid, welcome. This month is a Black History Month special. Mm-hmm. I'm asking you, you've been around a long time, you've seen the development of Black History Month over the last 30 years. What are your views about Black History Month here in the UK?
Well, you know, there's a lot of debate as to whether or not there should even be a Black History Month. You know, Black History is 365 days of the year, all that kind of stuff. But for me, I'm like, you get the month, claim the month, and start from there. You know, to have debates about whether or not it should or shouldn't happen is very retrograde, backwards, you know. And I think 2019, this year, is probably been one of the most, or one of the least impactful Black History Months I've seen.
Is it losing its momentum and its energy, and if so, why?
I would say it's definitely it's lost its momentum, and I would say one of the main reasons it has to really, you know, as adults we have to take the responsibility for that. And you know, a lot of people are going to complain that the council didn't do something and the school didn't do something, but you know, it all comes from the home. And if as parents of the children, if we are distracted by, you know, whatever it is we're distracted by, then teaching your child about, you know, Marcus Garvey, teaching your child about Imhotep, teaching your child about, you know, the great black thinkers who existed before slavery, takes a little bit of work. And sometimes we're not prepared to put that work in. And the result is our children gravitate towards culture which is not of their own creation. So they gravitate towards street culture because they think that's where it's at.
And we end up with children thinking Black Panther's all about a movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Marvel comic hero.
Absolutely.
Interesting comments. Do you think Black History Month should be moved? It's in October. I've always thought, why the hell are we celebrating Black History in the coldest month of the year? Why don't Black History be in August? Or why don't we align it with America and do it in February or something?
Well, you know, it would make sense to have at least some degree of ownership. And it always struck me that, you know, you go to the Caribbean, you go to the United States, Black History Month is in February. And for me, being on a kind of conspiratorial level, you think, okay, well, that's another one of them divide and rule tactics. You know, just keep these black folk out of synchronicity. Yeah. Keep them out of step with each other.
You could have a Black History Month 12 months of the year in different parts of the world.
Absolutely. But we have to take it. We have to claim it. You know, we have to claim it. Can I say, in terms of Black History Month, I've got to give a big shout out to Diane Abbott for creating history this month, for being, you know, the first black person, black female to kick off on, you know, PMQ, Prime Minister's Question Time. You know, she led the way. And even though I'm not aligned to the Labour Party, I have to give props to the sister for creating history.
Well, we all give props to black women who break boundaries and smash glass ceilings. So well done to Diane Abbott.
Absolutely.
In relation to black history and the curriculum, we spoke earlier on about the failure to maintain momentum. The reality is it not that if African and Caribbean people and others do not value their own history, nobody else will. And the responsibility for the transmission of that history is ours. Not the schools, not the governments. So you can put all the black history you want on the curriculum. It's still not sufficient. Doesn't black history start at home?
It's the role of the parent, absolutely, to take it on board. And if the parent doesn't understand or doesn't know the history, then maybe parent and child go on
learn together.
They learn together and they grow from each other, you know. But then, if you think about it, there's something about, I can't say it's a West Indian thing or a black parent thing, but there's definitely a deficiency in the parenting skills where it's as if the child or the children, the way the adults interact with them, it's so harsh, it's so rough. There's no gentleness. And I've seen, you know, other cultures, how they deal with the children, how they kind of really nurture the children. And
that's post-plantation societies rather than continental Africans. Isn't there a quality difference between those who are descendants from plantations and those who are from who haven't suffered plantation society?
You know what, brother? I have to disagree with that one there.
Okay,
because I've seen how some of my West African friends, when they were coming up and how their parents used to I'm like, wow. Okay, you're getting a beating tonight.
But we'll move on to our next question, really, and it leads us quite nicely onto that, because isn't it the fact that psychologically, cultural history is very important to maintaining good mental health?
It was explained to me by a psychologist at Maudsley, where I was doing a lot of work down at Maudsley on the wards. They call them wards, they're secure units. It's another word for a prison, basically, you know, because if you don't have that security access to go in and out of that ward, you're in that ward. And I'd be on a ward, and if there's 20 beds on the ward, 19 would be filled by men of color, black men. And there was a psychologist when they came onto the ward, and she did a workshop on the science of self-esteem. And I thought, this could be interesting. And so I sat in on the workshop, and I said to her, how important is self-esteem in the world of mental well-being? And she said, it is the #1 factor, your self-esteem. How you view yourself. She goes, that has such a huge impact, and we don't take that into consideration in how this mental health crisis is currently unraveling. And so when she said that, I thought, okay, this is interesting. And I said to her, is it okay if I take some of your concepts and develop them and put a more cultural slant on it for Black History Month? And she said, if you can make it work, run with it. And so that's what happened. So we developed Black history as a therapeutic practice. How do you heal people with mental illness without the medications? Because the medication, as we know, doesn't actually treat the patient. It just masks the effects, but it has side effects. The drug companies make money, and the workers don't really do any work apart from administer drugs. So that's where it came from. So history is crucial.
And you've developed a whole program around this, haven't you? Which is unique, really, because we see lots of things at Black History Month. You know, I'm so tired of Mary Seacole, God bless her soul, but let the woman rest in peace. You know, if I go to another Mary Seacole event during Black History Month, you know, I'm just going to puke. So, notwithstanding her great contribution to our history.
Did she hear voices?
Sorry?
She heard voices.
I heard she heard voices.
She heard voices, and the voices told her to go out to the Crimea.
They did?
Like, leave Jamaica and go to the Crimea. Okay, anyway. Sorry, I digress, man, I digress.
So, in relation to that, because Black history is usually very tired, they don't really do their research and their homework. But here, you've developed a fairly unique approach that has mental health benefits, as well as teaching people about culture and history. And I'm always saying to people who ask me, Lee, how do you withstand some of the criticism and barbs that are thrown at you in terms of your leadership position? And I often say my cultural history is my superpower. This is the thing that allows me to stand on 10,000 years of history and flick off, you know, contemporary criticisms and place them in their real context.
Absolutely.
Is that what you're finding through your therapeutic practice in teaching Black history?
Our relationship with our history It was the great Dr. John Henry Clark said, the relationship between the people in the history is the same as that relationship between a baby and the mother's milk. He said, history is your compass in which you find yourself on the map of human geography. History is the clock that tells the people what they have done and what they still need to do. So without that relationship to history, then we're lost. And you can see it. And I'm not saying that it's going to cure you, but what I'm saying is that your relationship gives you that kind of something to hold on to, that anchor to keep you. So when the wind starts to really blow, when the forces come after you, when they're at your door, when they're writing stuff about you in the newspapers, when they're slanderizing your name, and you're thinking, oh my God, what have I done? Pick up a book on Marcus Garvey and read what Garvey went through, and you think, okay, we can get through this. You know, when you look at, you know, what people had to endure in order for them to get to what they got to and what we did. For me, I never really get caught up in slavery because I find the whole narrative very, very reductionist, you know. And if you're talking, you mentioned like a 10,000 year timeline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people use a 5,000 year timeline. Yeah. But if you get caught into slavery, you're in a 400 year timeline. Yeah. And everything is about what you can't do. Yeah. And it's all within the context of a plantation, which is why maybe as West Indians, we're so rebellious because we spent all our history rebelling against the plantation. Whereas if we stepped out of that history, we might start building pyramids and becoming brain surgeons and doing other things, you know? And so I don't really talk about slavery because I find that it's such an emotive subject. So I leave it out because what we don't need right now is more angry, emotional black people. Yeah. What we need some calm thinkers who can strategize, who can say, you know what, I can create, I can invent, therefore I will. And so I like to go into the long-term history. So we take the word Maudsley, as you know, which is the famous or the infamous South London mental hospital, where a lot of people of colour end up. And I said, okay, well, we can't change the name of the Maudsley. So let's change our relationship to the word Maudsley. So I take the word Maudsley, Maudsley, SE5, even the postcode, and break it down into an acronym. So we make sure that we tie every letter into a spin from Black history. So your relationship to the word Maudsley is now an empowering context, as opposed to that place where they inject you and medicate you. You now say, okay, Maudsley is my art, Africa, University of New Civilization, and you go right through. Wow. Change.
Well, a unique approach to Black history, but you're also a budding politician, and I've known and seen you do remarkable things in trying to get elected as a local councillor here in Lambeth for the Green Party. First of all, Green Party and Black people, what do you say about that? Because you would think it was a marriage made in heaven, and yet I'm still walked past by Green Party activists, you know, signing up the white middle class to their campaigns. Being a fervent environmental campaigner myself, I always find it amusing that we're never involved and we're not included in the conversation. Well, you've been a candidate, and recently you've come into conflict with the Green Party. First of all, tell us about some of your achievements as a Green Party candidate, and then tell us about the issue.
Okay. My achievements, I initially joined the Greens to represent my community down in Somerleyton and Cold Harbour, in the centre of Brixton, back in 2014. Because as you know, this whole area is controlled by Labour, dominant, and people vote Labour as like a default setting. You know, Labour could put a dead fox as a candidate, and people go and vote for the dead fox because it's a Labour dead fox. You know what I'm saying? And so I thought, okay, you know, understanding what I understand about the history, and how you got people like Garvey, who was never afraid to reinvent himself, keep on pushing the boundaries. I took it on board to say, okay, well, let's join this Green Party, you know, and let's see what happens, because the policies make an awful lot of sense. In terms of the policies, you can't fault the policies.
Agreed.
You know, from closing the tax loopholes to reparations for slavery to supporting independent businesses to the, you know, to ganja legislation, right across the board. But
the Greens have a policy on reparations for slavery.
Yep.
All right, so you're hearing it here first on the Jasper Drive Time. Look it up.
They decided that at the when they was in the European Parliament back in, I think it was 2012. They had a conference called the Afrophobia Conference, and that was one of the policies that came out of that, reparations for slavery. Okay. You know, but that's one of the things that they don't talk about. You know, it's really strange, and so. But what I would say is that when you're dealing with, and I don't want to really get into the conversation about middle-class white people, but there's something about middle-class white people. It's all well and good. If they're giving you orders and you're working as partners, it's fine. But when you call shots and they have to take orders from you, all of a sudden everything starts to change. And you think, but hold it, I thought we was all in the same party here. I thought if I went out in 2015 and increased the Green vote by 400%, the previous candidate was a man called Jonathan Bartley, who's now the leader of the party.
Yeah.
I stood in the same seat as him in the following election. I increased his vote by 400%.
Yeah.
That was in 2015. In 2016, at the London elections, I coordinated the campaign in Lambeth and Southwark, and we doubled what the Greens were doing across London. We hit like 27,000 votes down here. And yet still, when I apply for a job as the campaign manager for 2020, I can't even get shortlisted.
So wait, because so you have massively increased the Green vote. By any stretch of the imagination, I can concur with that. I've seen the figures. I know that to be true. Mm-hmm. And it was largely due to your slick campaigning in the local area and your local connectivity that led to that. Mm-hmm. And subsequently, you've applied for this job at the Green Party and you didn't even get an interview.
Wasn't even shortlisted.
Wasn't even shortlisted. Mm-hmm. And have they explained why?
Well, currently we're in dispute over, I mean, they gave some, one of the reasons they said that you wasn't experienced. And I thought, okay. Then another thing was that we'll use the candidate. I said, no, I was the candidate who coordinated the campaign.
Yeah, campaign manager.
So I did my own campaigning. And then they said something about it was anonymous, there was anonymous applications, so they wouldn't know who it was. But obviously, if I'm the candidate, if I put on my application that I was the candidate in 2014, it's like, we know who it is.
And we're waiting to hear back from them, are you not, in terms of your complaint to the Green Party?
Yes, well, I have a very good barrister.
So you've taken it legal now?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We don't play.
Okay.
You know, it's like you know, a very wise political person I know said, Rashid, always make sure you got a rusty blade in your pocket.
I think I know it might not be it. But anyway, look, it's been a delight to talk to you. We lament your problems with the Green Party. We'll be coming back to look at this issue when you get to a conclusion. So we're going to invite you back. But Rashid, Black History Month, therapeutic activist, raconteur, and a Renaissance man.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you very much, brother.
Pleasure.
Hi, well, you heard there from Rashid Nix and Black History and as a therapeutic tool, plus his experiences within the Green Party. Funny enough, we're moving on to green issues with Extinction Rebellion coming up next, a series of Vox Pops. I think my message to the community is, why aren't we doing what Extinction Rebellion's doing in order to protect ourselves from racism? Maybe we can learn some lessons. Extinction.
Thought surely they would choose this if they understand that what they're doing is ultimately causing such huge destruction to ourselves and future generations and people across the world, then that they would change their ways and that government would. And I have done legal protests and I've done lots of volunteering, I've done campaigning, I've gathered people together, I've trained people how to lobby their MPs, I've visited my MP and councillors and my council. I changed everything that I did in my own life. Sorry, it's a bit emotional.
Feeling feisty, definitely. Well, I'm so impressed with the love and the goodness of the people here. It's heartwarming how much people are prepared to give and share. It's a lovely feeling.
He's saying we are the alarm, we are protesting the climate emergency and bringing it to the attention of the government that they are not doing enough. And we are sitting down here as kind of extreme form, willing to get arrested.
The house is on fire.
The house is on fire.
The alarm.
We are the alarm.
Every single movement that's ever worked has worked through peaceful protests and really change, like, force creates a friction, and you don't like become flexible, become loving. Like within the space of love, we have no boundaries and we have no borders and we have no other, and only in that, you know, and it's not them, there is no them.
So these are my friends, and they're a group from the north of the country, and we're locked on via an arm tube to two people. So the idea is to stop the police from taking this site, to close off this intersection. So you'll see there's a steel arm tube, and these guys are handcuffed together inside that arm tube. So there's no way the police can remove them without cutting open the arm tube. We also super glue ourselves onto the road sometimes to make it even more difficult for the police to remove these protesters. So it's a non-violent action, nobody's getting hurt here, we're totally peaceful, and my role here is supporting these wonderful people that are doing this job here.
Hi, this is the news section of the Lee Jasper Drive Time show, where I comment on some of the key issues rattling around the news agenda of the day, giving you my unique insight. One of the cases that has had worldwide attention is the story of the murder of a young black man in his apartment by police officer Amanda Guyver, and his name was Botham Jean. A young black man shot dead in his own apartment, eating ice cream, watching TV, by off-duty police officer Amanda Guyver. Why is it that these Americans get away with murder? I have no idea. But on this occasion, what makes it particularly hurtful is that during her sentencing, which she received 10 years, she was hugged by Botham Jean's brother, who said, "I forgive you." Her hair was stroked by the sheriff, the African-American sheriff in the courtroom, and the judge broke down in tears at her sentencing, such as was her sympathy for this stone-cold killer. That happened in Dallas, and we're going to find out whether it's good to forgive or forget. And guess what happened the very day after? The key person in that trial, Joshua Brown, a young man, and if you saw his testimony online, it was heartbreaking. Such was the fear he felt for his own life. He was shot dead the very next day. So while you're hugging up the enemy, while you're hugging up and providing forgiveness, these people are plotting for our destruction. And believe me, if that was an example of nobody's telling you not to forgive, but do that in the church or the quietness of your own home, don't display it for the world to see. And we've been taught a very, very hard lesson. Don't trust them. How come white Americans seem to get away with murder? What about the murder of Harry Dunn? Tragically murdered as a consequence of a road traffic accident. The person driving that car was an Ann Tsoukalos, and she is the wife of an American communications officer and somebody who's got diplomatic immunity. And she skipped country before the police can complete their investigation. I just find that amazing. It's a white privilege, gives you a free pass to do anything you like. What do you think? Should diplomats have diplomatic immunity to commit such serious crimes like causing death or murder or rape or robbery? We've seen time and time again foreign nations claiming diplomatic immunity. Should it apply when you commit murder or suspected of committing murder? I would have thought you could change the diplomatic rules to suggest that if you commit murder or any serious crime, it doesn't apply. So the question I'm asking you is, should we abolish diplomatic immunity for the most serious crimes? Put a comment below, let me know what you think. I'll be interested to hear your feedback, because I think it's a free pass for diplomats to commit the most serious and heinous crimes. We conclude with a story tragic in many respects. Black women are 5 times more likely to die in the course of childbirth than any other ethnic group. I just really don't understand this, but we've had lots of reports, haven't we, around very famous black women, Serena Williams and others, who talk about the treatment that they have whilst giving birth in hospital. Not only are black women 5 times more likely to die in childbirth, but in terms of infant mortality, the African and Caribbean community in the United Kingdom is twice as likely, those babies are twice as likely to die than other ethnicities here in the United Kingdom. Why is that? Is the NHS still an institutionally racist organisation? Are black women not being offered the kind of qualitative care that other women from other ethnic groups receive while in hospital? So along with black mothers and black babies, we have a tragic loss of life. Sometimes those deaths and births are higher than some of the countries of origin that we've come from. And so I'm asking you, educate us, educate me. Leave your comments in the section below. Why is so many black women dying in the first period of their childbirth? And secondly, why are black babies twice as likely to die than white babies in their first year of life? Leave your comments, press subscribe, press the like, hit the bell to get further notifications. You've been watching Lee Jasper Drive Time. I'll be looking forward to read your comments. Peace.